All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining in again for Tea and Conversation. This is our 11th episode back by popular demand, and we've had a great week with a number of amazing women participating. I think it's a topic. And I have on this evening with one of my sisters who's been spending a long time here in the community, Sister Deanna Joseph. She is the co-founder at the Andrew Joseph Foundation in Tampa. Also, she's the co-founder at Black Business Live, Black Lives Matter Grassroots Florida chapter. Had to
Yes,
get all
yes.
of it. Yes, I'm just so happy to have you on. And I often go and check out your pictures, and I love when you smile. I love when you smile.
Hmm.
It's just happy.
Look, look, I didn't smile for so long. So you were there from the very beginning when
Yeah.
I just never, as I was thinking about the show today, and as I resonated on the first face I saw that came to my
Mm,
home and sat at my dining room table when we were at our darkest moments, and that was you, you know. And it, it's humbling to be back home, you know, speaking with you with a new lens, with a new eye, um, gleaming through the 10 years, almost a decade. It's by the grace of a praying mother and grandmother. It's by community members like you who blew breath into us and
mm,
gave us a new light, gave us a new way of rationalizing something so destitute and destructive. Um, this could have turned out anyway. It could have turned out so many different ways for our family, but we decided to create something meaningful in the name of Andrew Joseph III, our 14-year-old son, something of a legacy in which he could be remembered and adored for the special boy that he was. Um, it wasn't a day that went by that I did not walk this walk and consult in this journey with what his spirit would resonate. What would his spirit want in this moment? And that was a spirit in which he would say, Mom, Dad, I need you to walk forward in dignity and strength because I was innocent. And in all of that, I need you to protect other children from the devastating
yeah.
death sentence that I received on February 7th,
Yes.
2014. So the Andrew Joseph Foundation was birthed from that. It was birthed in that moment, Candy. And I remember, just really focusing on changing those policies that were detrimental to ending his life. Um, it was very, in the beginning, you always saw my husband on the front line at the county commissioners' meetings, speaking truth to power, demanding accountability because what we saw as common sense was not common.
Yes.
Protection of children, realizing that Andrew Joseph III was at a school sanctioned fair day, where tickets were given to the children to attend. And I'm going to just frame it up for those who are listening who are not in the know of what Student Day was in 2014. Children received tickets to attend this event. And when they went to the fair, they had a day off from school. And as a mother and as a family, you would think that this would be the safest day the moment in which children would enjoy themselves and the adults there would conduct themselves in a nurturing manner. And Andrew didn't have um, any issues at the fair other than leaving a Ferris wheel ride and going to Corporal Clark, who's now retired, and picking up a hat and shoe from a teammate, a little league teammate who was his football friend. And when he picked up that hat and shoe, it changed the whole trajectory of his life. And at that moment, he was asked as an honest boy, "Do you know him?" And he says, "Yes, he's my friend. We play Little League ball together." And that's when Andrew's taken into custody. He's handcuffed, he's shackled. He stripped of his clothing as they were looking for gang identifiers because this was the gang task force working that night. And at that moment in time, my son is photographed with a mugshot photo. And that's the last photo we have of Andrew live is a mugshot photo. Upon Andrew asking to speak to a supervisor and being denied access to that, then being driven in a paddy wagon and abandoned on Orient Road where he was killed on the interstate. Those were all things that came after the fact where it took 12-year-old children as witnesses to tell us what had happened. It wasn't the adults in this narrative to explain what happened. It was the young children who came forward. And that's how I'm able to now, present to you the facts of what murdered him. What was the cruelty of a child? What was the kidnapping, I would say, the child abduction. Those were the things in which this looked like to me. And we can play a word salad all we want. But in the end of the day, that's what this was, a child abduction.
Wow. I think this is the first time in 10 years that I've heard you say that last photo was that last um, picture that they took. I never heard you say that. I just, um, I just can't imagine, like so many other parents cannot imagine. Fair Day 2014. Fair Day in the city of Tampa has been going on for many, many, many years. Have they have there been any changes to the fair in the way that they have the children coming out? Because I think there was some new things put in place, but I'm not quite sure.
Mhm. There were changes that occurred that, of course, we had to advocate for. And we actually remember writing a safety plan because if you didn't know how to conduct a safety plan, then as parents and as advocates by profession, that we would create one for you. And that's what we did and sent it certified mail so that they can have a blueprint to how they should conduct themselves when working and protecting children. Some of those things were implemented, when you see the children now getting a call home, when you see that the children now have days in which they come with their parent, um, and also the time in which the hours change when your age is of a certain age group, then you can be allowed access after a certain hour. So those were common sense changes that were made, but nonetheless, they were needed changes that no one in those positions thought necessary to implement. So, we're grateful for those changes. But we would like credit for those changes too. But you know how that system is. It's like, they steal your ideas, but never come back and give you the footnote to the reference to where it came from. But it's all good if it's in the order of doing what it's supposed to do, and parent not having to sit in the place that we're sitting in today. Then we'll accept that.
No credit, huh?
They don't give much of that. They never come back.
Shame. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow. So I hear that you also are the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Grassroots Florida chapter. Give me a little
Yes.
bit about that start.
Well, look, you remember way back in the day, way back in the day, there was a chapter. I was at Cleveland State University, and it was Movement for Black Lives that was there, and it was a group of two individuals came to me and they said, you know, we want to do this in Tampa. Can we use your son's name and you know, we're going to do this and highlight and make change and amplify your son's story. And I thought it was a wonderful idea because they were doing those type of activism and organizing chapters all over the world. So why not let Andrew's face be the face for the Black Lives Matter movement? And I just loved how the 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 wording of Black Lives Matter just pissed people off. So that was a feather in my hat because I just loved how it enraged and create this emboldenment, whereas people felt
Yes.
like the audacity of them to feel as though Black Lives Matter. So with all of that, that was the background. And when that group kind of separated and went their own way, we were stuck here with a bunch of other families who wanted and needed that same type of support. And there was no infrastructure that was there for them. So I said, well, what about impacted families, survivor families being on the front line, fighting and advocating for their own children? So I presented it to the officials and the chapter leads, and they was like, well, we love that idea. Why don't you come to the onboarding training, which we did a whole year of political education and organizing 101, and got our certificate and our banner, and now we're just building the necessary pieces as far as our communications, our security team, um, our actual policy team, which is where you know the ending qualified immunity work comes from. So all of those pieces were just things that we just started to build through. And the beautiful and most profound thing is that it is led by families who are closest to the pain, families who have
Mm,
blood on the line, whose children continue to fuel their fire, whereas they can't walk away because it's not in their DNA to walk away, because it would mean the lives and the legacy of their children would be swept under the rug. So that's what I love as far as the dynamics of Black Lives Matter grassroots, and we continue to build, you know, across Florida in the different counties in Florida.
so there are other chapters in the state of Florida.
We are the lead, and we're building those out. Yes, but we are the co-founders, and we'll pick to different leadership in different counties when they present that they're interested. Like one in Jacksonville, LaTiffany Gallen out of Jacksonville leads that, and her brother was killed at the dollar store when the white supremacists went in shooting in the dollar store some years back. So she leads that particular area. And then we have Tracy, who's in Briante Johnson Davis's mom, who's looking to be onboarded and go through her political education and organizing trainings so that she can lead the work out in Palmetto and Bradenton area.
You know, just thought about Deanna. I remember some years back when you did your first event in the city of Tampa, and you had a walk, and it was on 22nd Street. You remember that?
I do. I do remember that. Yes, yes.
Uh, it was unbelievable. You had people from all across the country came to be by your side. and it's almost like a fraternity that you're forced to be in. You're in a space that you never thought you would be in. Tell us about those walks and those events that the Andrew Joseph Foundation puts on, I think, yearly now. Um, I'm not sure if you started that way, but I know it's every year you have an event. Sometimes it's half a week, sometimes it's a weekend. A little bit about how that started and volunteers if people want to participate with anything that's coming up real soon.
Yes, that's part of just building community, the families that come and we support each other, we love on each other, because at the end of the day, we know what it's like, we know that after the funeral and after they drop the Tupperware bowls off, then this is a lonely, isolated place and people go on with their lives because this is heavy. This is heavy. Nobody
Mm,
wants to accept the reality that the shoes that we sit in today could possibly be the shoes that they sit in tonight. And I get that. But it doesn't stop or negate the fact that there are reasons as far as the climate that creates the death of children. Those are permeating circumstances that caused the death of Andrew. Those are permeating circumstances that caused the death of Michael Brown. Those are intricate parts of our society that needs to know and understand where and how we get to this point. Andrew, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, all of those children, all those individuals have stories. And the purpose is to keep amplifying those stories because with new knowledge comes new understanding. With new knowledge comes an understanding, the apathy that at the end of the day, what can we learn from this? What can we take into our households and teach our children and young people on how to prepare and actually protect themselves? My daughter can tell you her mother has taught her 101 ways in which you can die because every story I hear, I come back and say, Deja, did you hear about how this happened? Did you hear about how this happened? And poor girl, she may be overwhelmed by it, but I have done my due diligence in earnest as a mother to say those are the type of precautionary measures you need to make when you in these particular scenarios, because this is what happened to Breonna Taylor. This is what
mm,
happened. And it's a shame that Black families have to teach in this manner, in parent in this manner, but it has become a way in which we can't allow these stories to go unheard and untold. We must keep saying it. We must keep echoing in the world. We cannot let the world forget. And that's why we get together and do those events every year, because the world cannot forget. And we're committed to just creating this worldwide global messaging around the importance of our people living and not just being a hashtag.
right, right. I know I had a chance to meet Tamir Rice family, Michael Brown's family, and so many other families. Johnson's family. I think they were in South Georgia. Was it Valdosta?
Yes, Kendrick Johnson's family out of Valdosta, Georgia. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and a number of other family members that have come to your event, and you all have been all across the country supporting other families. I know you just come from DC, um, and it looked like it was amazing, advocating, campaigning, so many different
Yes.
initiatives. I'm sure that you all were championing at the annual legislative conference in DC. Tell me a little bit about that. And was that your first year? You're in
Oh, no,
Andrew.
no, no. This wasn't our first year. And we actually went to actually be exhibitors as we set up a table with Black Lives Matter. We were sharing that Black Lives Matter grassroots is Black Lives Matter. building our platform, our programming and initiatives and the campaigns that we work, because at the end of the day, many people are still dumbfounded and uneducated on what ending qualified immunity is. And as we sit in this room, there's different corporate entities like Amazon and Disney that's in the room. So a lot of corporate dollars is going into the Black Congressional Caucus. This is like the bougie of all bouginess, when you come through and everybody's in their suits dressed up, and it's like at the nighttime, there's a party here and a party there. So it's a different kind of environment, but at the end of the day, it's still a necessary environment to also sit in, because there is policy and people that you need to know to be able to help you amplify the work that's happening on the ground. And that's what Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley has been to us, that, helping amplify the work. And as I was there was a mass movement party that Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley held. And in all of that, it just builds you so much strength, because when we work and when we come together in these type of settings, it fuels our fire. And we know that we're not alone in the duty of carrying this heavy and sacred work, because at the end of the day, I also see this as sacred work that we're doing each and every day. And, it's saddens me that your help comes from other cities and states. That is the most saddening part of it. As you walk through and without a doubt that, this is a Boston, Massachusetts congresswoman, but then still feels the importance of doing the necessary and hard work of standing in the face of the oppressive systems, the oppressive policies that have enabled police to kill us with impunity. So that is something we talk about on numerous stages. Cori Bush, we went to her particular panel discussion as she's talking about Palestine. Many dollars were spent, APEC dollars were spent, whereas she lost her reelection because of that, speaking truth to power against things that they don't want you to speak against. So they silence you with money and dollars. So it's a lot of politics that goes on behind the scene, but we just try to keep our face clean and do the business that we've come there to do, and follow up if we're needed to be back for testimonies or press conferences. But at the end of the day, it's a setting that requires a lot. It requires a lot of patience and perseverance, and just be like, oh, are we really just gonna laugh our way to freedom? We should be doing hard stuff. we should be stepping on necks and heads and making sure that our voices are heard. But we're okay. We're okay. We're okay for now.
And you mentioned qualified immunity. Tell me a little bit about that. What does that actually mean?
Well, qualified immunity is an unjust legal doctrine. It's a doctrine whereas any state entity can hurt you and harm you. They can kill you and say qualified immunity. Qualified immunity is something they can file at every stage. If you just want answers as far as discovery, can you please tell me what happened? They can decide not to tell you anything because I filed immunity. I filed qualified immunity. I just want to know how my child died. Qualified immunity. Because you're a state entity, you're protected. That's what took 8.5 years for us to even get a court date, because at every stage of the litigation, qualified immunity was something that Chronister and his team used in their defense. And it's still something they use even in our moral victory. So it has to
Wow.
end. It has to end. And you would think that state entities would be held at a higher regard, but in essence, they're not. They can be dumb as all outdoors and file qualified immunity, and it protects them. And you don't really understand the magnitude of it until you're in this type of situation. You just think that if you ever needed a system, it will work for you. But there's all type of laws and type of um, clauses and articles and things that they put into place that interrupts the actual true and reliable form of justice. And it's just has been a learning curve in this past 10 years, because what you don't know, you just don't know. But I believe it's high time that we do start knowing, because there are so many laws that's out there that's only affecting us. It's only harming us as the people. And more immunities are being placed, whereas we don't have to give you clean water. And nobody answers to that when we think about it. We don't have to have clean food. We can spread with all type of pesticides and kill you, and you have cancer for the rest of your life, and nobody has to answer to those things. Those are all systemic failures that have failed us repeatedly on every front. And it's high time that the people started talking about these things, because this is just creating a cycle of us being at the bottom end of the totem pole, dying, suffering, um, having lack of resources. Because once they harm you, it's not like they're coming back to give you a check about it. You still got to go to work with the harm, with the hurt, with the pain, and pay for the medication and the radiation and everything else to save yourself for some years or some longevity of years so you can be here. But it's just it's disappointing, because once you're in it, Candy, once you're in this and you see the corruption, you see all the areas of harm that are there and out there, and then you see your people just sitting there like, did I do that? Yes, you did that. And you were complicit in that. It's like you throw your rocket and you hide your hands. And it's always follow the money.
Always follow the money. I was going to ask before you said follow the money, is the elected officials in our state, in the state of Florida, is that something that um, we're able to talk with them about, to see if there's some changes that can be made? Is this a standard law from state to state?
It is. It is something statewide and federal. Immunity is something that's offered, and it's given to so many families. And that's why we never see justice, because when qualified immunity hits, it doesn't allow a family to go to court. So you never know the facts of the case, because qualified immunity, and they tell you, you better take this little $200,000 and go sit your ass down somewhere. I know I killed your son, but take this and shut up and go sit down and live your life. Meanwhile, there's no facts of the case. There's no legal precedents. Whereas another family that comes behind you can have something to reflect upon. And that has been the failure as far as all of the cases we've ever come in contact with. There has been no legal precedence, but we're hoping that with Andrew's case having its day in court, that it does set legal precedence for someone. And that's why we say it was a moral victory only, because it can set legal precedence for someone else that comes behind him. They'll have the attorneys will have a reference point to say, based on the Joseph versus uh, Hillsborough case, they can have, a case law to go against. But it is something we spoke to Kathy Castor when we were in DC. We went to her office. She had a nice office too. It had nice black pictures and stuff on the wall. So maybe it was Black History Month or something. But spoke to her, asking her if she can co-sign the qualified immunity bill with Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. And she did nice smiles and she shook her head like she would. But, some years or some months later, I asked the staffer in Ayanna Pressley's office if she had indeed followed through. And they explained to me that she had not. So that, and again, was another to blow to our hearts, because it's like you actually sat with us in your office as if you were committed to supporting this, and at the end of the day, you did nothing. So I'm still not sure what that was all about, other than cowardice, being a coward. But um, that has always been the way in which she moved, because even when Alan Grayson was running and he was in Orlando, he wound up supporting us and bringing it to her. Whereas, okay, so it was like, okay, well, I guess this is how you roll, you never take the front seat, you're always in the back. So I'm kind of like, sitting here in dismay when I see so many people enjoying her company. And I'm like, if only they knew the truth. But it's been a road um, less traveled, and I'm kind of okay with it, because that means I will owe no one nothing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. I do remember. I do remember on the front end that you all were um, alone a lot of the times. Only a few people were there. And as time went on, a few other people um, came to the circle. And then as time went on, there has been a number of loyal people that has been there with you and your husband and Deja. And I often think about her when you share pictures when she went off to college, and she has to go off to college with such a story about her brother, but she advocates well because she's um, 10 years. I mean, she
Mm.
was a little girl. She was
Yes.
a little girl when this happened, and having to advocate for such um, is heavy. It's really heavy. So what are you all champion now? I know you were in DC. Was the qualified immunity the main thing that you guys were championing initiative, or was it anything else at this
Yes,
time?
that was the main thing. As far as qualified immunity, just everybody being educated on qualified immunity, and also signing a link. There's a QR link that we can share with you, and you can share with the listening audience, whereas it's a pre-populated letter that goes directly to their congressperson with the wording and everything, saying that you, as a citizen, would like your congressional person to support qualified immunity. So all of the hard work and the words and everything has been done for you. And the second piece is the Andrew Joseph Foundation, just working on a healing center for families. Yes, we do conflict resolution skills training with young people. Yes, we do nonviolent communication skills. And we also teach know your rights, because it's a lot of people that don't know their rights, and the parents don't know it either. So that has been signature programs that we've been really proud in presenting, because it actually does give a sense of empowerment when you know how to express yourself intelligently, in a nonviolent and non-threatening way, and still get your point across. So that, in essence, is something we do with the youth part, but also the circle of mothers, working with mothers and survivor families, in providing a healing space for them. Luckily now we have Dr. Gigi, who does the acupuncture and holistic medicine. And we have Jimmy, who does mutual aid with the yoga and Reiki and all the components that some of the families have found to be very useful. And then just the supply and being available to teach others how to advocate for themselves and see themselves in a position of power, because they are ultimately the most powerful voice for their children in fighting for justice.
Mhm. Deanna, you mentioned the circles of mothers. I know about the circles of mothers. What is there a group that the men, the fathers, um, meet up with? Because I just can't imagine. Um, I remember Andrew Joseph. I remember him with his fist up.
Mhm.
I remember him all the time with his fist up for justice for his son. Not only justice for his son, he had you and his daughter that he had to constantly hold up no matter what, each and every day. And what about our fathers? What about Mike Brown's father? I know that it looks like that he and Andrew has become close. I see them in so many different pictures over the years across the
Mm.
country. But what about the daddy? What about the fathers?
Oh my goodness. Yes, Michael Brown has Chosen Fathers as an organization. So Chosen Fathers meets once a year for a men's retreat. They usually pick a different city and state. Some of the families here, Andrew has welcomed and actually drove to the retreat spot. So that is something that we build together. No sense in recreating the wheel. Michael has that program. So fathers from Florida join Andrew when they travel to that particular city and state where the retreat is, and then they're able to come in and have the grief counselors there. They're often, able to stand in support of each other, and it's a great brotherhood that they have. A love beyond anything I've ever seen. At the end of the day, I believe they become more of a cohesive group, because they actually, although they're in different cities and states, they commit to Zooming once a month and paying dues to be able to pay for their trips and their dinners and retreats and things like that. I never could get the mothers to do that for the circle of mothers, though. But the men, they do it. So it has been a great outlet for him. It's something that I could never hold him away from. You can never say anything's more important, because he's like, I gotta go. So I just love seeing the men come together with their shirts on, with their children's picture, and just laughing, because they have such great jokes. They can do all that ribbing and all that, and it never hurts anybody's feelings. And they go through a lot of different emotions at the end of the day, but they always come back in love. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And if there's any fathers listening, reach out to us. Andrew Joseph's on Facebook. He'll be more than happy to to bring you on into Chosen Fathers group.
Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That makes my heart happy. That makes my
Yes.
heart happy.
Yes. So
Yeah.
the brothers have an outlet. We just need to think about the siblings now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Deja wrote a piece in a book, and it just broke my heart when she wrote her story, and she said that she felt like she was always in the shadows of Andrew's
Mm.
death. And I'm like, my, I thought I was taking you with me, and you were traveling with us, and all of that. I never felt like you were in the shadows, but it was something true for her that she felt like she was in
Yeah.
his shadow. So I'm grateful that she got that out and she was able to express that. And she's just doing wonderful. She's doing well, and in her studies. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that my child's
Yeah.
mind and body and heart is still intact.
Yes. 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 I have one more question. Tell me about that trip to the United Nations. I thought that that
Oh,
was just, I thought that that was like, I don't know anyone that's gone to the United Nations. And then I see
Candy.
my
Mm.
sister. I, I'm telling you, I mean, how do you get an invitation there? How are you chosen to go there?
Whew.
To go and stand and tell the United Nations about your baby.
Yes, yes, that's a vision I can never forget. Seeing all of the different countries represented, some
Yeah.
speaking languages I can't even understand, but when we're speaking, it's translating for them to understand. And those are one of those moments when I knew that this was bigger than us and that something special was being divinely orchestrated in the background because, like you said, everyday people don't even know how to even get into those spaces. But in our travel, in our movement, it was like messengers would come to
Mm.
serve a particular purpose, but then you'll never see them again. But their assignment was to introduce you to this, and then you never see them again. And in that particular encounter, it was a minister um, who had invited us, and then while we're there, is when we finally get to meet the minister, and was just so grateful. And I can't even remember his name now. I feel so sad not doing that, but he had invited us, and then that point is when Harry Belafonte was there, and his daughter Gina with Sankofa was there, and I think that was when we first met with them, and they did a lot of international type of work around the country. Back when they were singing "We Are the World, We Are the Children" type of stuff. So that was an experience of a lifetime. I'm glad that it's well documented so that we'll be able to have in our archives for our grandchildren one day. Um, and hopefully, at that point in time, we can continue, to invite more families to be able to testify on that level as far as the crimes of the United States against its people. Because in essence, the, they actually they support our genocide as well. They actually do a lot to not protect us. And it's the biggest joke in the world when they say police are here to protect and serve, whereas that's the biggest lie ever because they don't do anything to protect us. They only come at the back end to be reactive to anything. So every time there's a death, they get more funding. So I just think it's another follow the money. So we don't want to end gun violence because it keeps us getting more money. Police departments get to add more programs on how they're going to stop the violence, when in essence they are uh, supporting the violence and don't want to lose their jobs. So all of that is another discussion. We have a lot to talk about, and I could go on and on, but the United Nations was just one of those things, and the Florida Sentinel was uh, the paper that highlighted it here in in
Yeah.
in um, in this area. So yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up again. What year? I can't even remember what year that was. But you remember, Candy?
I I remember like it was yesterday. And I thought that
Mm,
was like United Nations, Andrew Joseph
yes.
family. Yeah,
They
yeah,
underestimated us. They really did.
yeah, yes.
Hmm.
After a number of
Look,
times,
yes, ma'am. Wrong. Look,
a number
wrong
of
child,
times.
but right family. They picked the wrong child, but they got the right family.
Long, right family. Mm, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Deanna, if you have a website, a phone number, if anyone would like to get in touch with you, if anyone would like to be a volunteer, if anyone is interested in helping out in any way, I have on with me Deanna Joseph. She's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Grassroots Florida chapter, and she's also the co-founder at the Andrew Joseph Foundation in the Tampa Bay area, and have been doing amazing things advocating for um, our children, our children that have lost their lives senseless in our community. If there's anything that you want to add for anyone that's interested in being a part, because it's happening so much in our
Yes,
country.
yes, yes, yes. I would just say anyone who's interested in listening to my voice, we are a 501c3, so nonprofit organization. So everything you seed into our work goes right back into the programming that we provide around um, police violence, state sanctioned violence, protecting children, the intervention and prevention programs, and the survivor works that we do for survivors of child death. So you can volunteer, go to our website, www.andrewjosephfoundation.com. You can contact us on that. The website also allows you to um, create a donation if you so desire. We're asking for there's a gift registry as well, whereas you can go to a Walmart registry if you decide that Walmart is something that you would like to do. And that would go into the giveaway baskets that we give. Because what you don't know is that when we come and have a new member come into our group, we give a nice care basket. And in that care basket has a journal where they can document their feelings. They have a healing manual just written by an author on different meditations and daily scripture that you can read to get you through. We have candles, we have aromatherapy. Those type of baskets we found to be really helpful, and not to mention just a $50 gift card can go a long way, just helping a family get some meals in the home when they don't feel like cooking for the rest of the family. So it's just a little something, but hopefully at the end of the day, they know that they're not alone, and there is a community that's there to love on them and support them through the roughest and darkest days. So volunteer. We're building our board. If you have certain expertise in marketing, grant writing, fundraising, all of those things are things that you can bring into this work. Everybody doesn't have to be on the front line marching and doing those type of things, because some people are not those type of fighters. But at the end of the day, I believe that the movement has space for everybody, and we all should be doing something.
Yes, yes. I want to say thank you, Deanna Joseph, for joining me this evening. And it has been an honor and a pleasure chatting with you. I've chatted with you over the years, many, many years. I get phone calls early in the morning sometime with the, what do you think about this? Do you know this? And we'll talk for an hour or
Yes.
so on
Look,
any.
Candy, look, Candy didn't know what it was setting us up for, though.
That's right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in this evening. Tea and Conversation Live. This is our 11th episode, and we have Tea and Conversation every second and fourth Saturday at Al's Finger Licking Good Soul Food. Also, Tea and Conversation Live on Tuesdays, Wednesday this week, and a special night tonight, which was Thursday. Thank you guys for joining in. I'll see you next week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.